Always fun to do a little chew on this on the Sports Buffet podcast. Yours truly, Scott Wilson, Will Castle, sat down on June the 6th, 2012. We talked some NBA playoffs. It was Game 6 that night between the Spurs and Thunder. We make our predictions on that. Talk about the series as a whole. Who's better, Bynum or Dwight Howard, and more. Chew on this, NBA playoff talk, Sports Buffet podcast. Chew on this, the never-ending segment of segments. Bob Alvis, Will Castle, Scott Wilson, the three chewers tonight. And we'll start with the NBA. We'll start with Scott. How interested have you been in the playoffs?
I would say slightly more than usual.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
For NBA, I would say 8. For
okay.
Normal things, maybe like 4. I don't think I've watched more than like 30 minutes of any particular game, and the games end too late for me. So, but I mean,
the games start too late for me, so we're all in agreement.
The teams that I don't like are now falling apart, so I'm happy about that.
Don't like the Spurs?
I've never liked the Spurs.
Really? What do you have against Timmy?
I don't know. There's something about them that I've never really liked.
That he doesn't have 60 tattoos?
Does he have any?
I think he's got one like on the upper back area.
Well, I mean, I've never been that big of a Tim Duncan fan. I mean, I know he's good, but I'm just not.
Well, I'm all for Young having the Heat fall apart. I mean, and we know Will Castle. We'll get his opinion in a moment of that. But let's get to it right about now.
Go Celtics! Go Celtics!
We talked about this today. I try not to pull for Boston teams just as a general rule. But in this case, I will say go Celtics as well. I mean, you know, I think there are a ton more Heat haters in this world than there are haters of all three other teams combined. And here's the question. Is Eric S. gone if the Heat don't win the championship?
Yeah.
I say no.
What I don't get is they're talking about like tearing the team apart after this time. I was like,
I've heard that too.
It's been 2 years. Got a conference finals once, NBA finals once, and you're gonna act like it's doomsday.
I think you can trade LeBron or D Wade.
They're not gonna trade LeBron.
Well, then D Wade's got to go.
Wow.
You don't trade Bosh because I think you have invariably seen what missing Chris Bosh in the playoffs have done. Mm-hmm. Because if they have Chris Bosh, the Celtics series could be over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, bring a guy back and did he play a lot?
He played
20 minutes, I think I heard.
Well, they wanted. I think the plan was for him to play like 25, like max, and he played 10 minutes early, scored like 9 points. Played really well, and he didn't play at all. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. I don't think he played at all.
Kevin Garnett's been playing like young Kevin Garnett though in this series too.
He's been playing. It's. Well, I mean, I don't think they don't hand out MVPs for conference finals, but if they did, he would.
They should.
They said he is in the playoffs. He has done 8 games, 20 and 10. The entire season, he's done that 7 times this season.
We are recording this on the night of Game 6 with the Spurs and Thunder, so obviously it will not be up by then. We hope it's up by the time the NBA Finals are over. But with that being said, if the Spurs don't win, obviously if the Spurs don't win tonight, is it over? But if the Thunder don't win tonight, and it's 3-3, do the Thunder have a shot in Game 7?
Yes.
Less of a yes. More of a no.
Okay, let's turn this question too. If the Celtics don't win tomorrow night in Game 6, can they win in Game 7?
No.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable where the Heat are now than where the Spurs are now.
Go ahead.
I just don't think the Spurs, the way the last 2 games have gone, are going to win 2 games, including one. I don't think they win tonight.
Do the Celtics beat the Thunder?
I think Oklahoma City wins.
Do the Thunder beat the Heat?
Yes.
Wow, interesting.
I think they've shown in the last few games that they can handle the pressure. That was my question mark about that.
Where Miami has showed they haven't, and
I don't think they can even spell pressure.
Yeah, and as I said, technically this Eastern Conference Final should have been over already because Boston really won Game 2. But they've outplayed Miami the last 4 games. They've just won the last 3 games.
I think the Thunder do not win the series against the Spurs for the lack of bigs.
Okay.
And I think
besides Kendrick, who do they have?
Ibaka.
that's my whole point. I
Okay.
think they don't win the series because of lack of bigs, and I think in the postseason or in the off season, they need to find that mid-level guy or even trade for somebody that they can go get.
So you think Spurs win the last 2
I do.
games?
Here's one thing I wonder. Was the fact that the Spurs were lights out since April and go flawless the first 2 rounds and then they finally lose, does that screw up a team that, because they haven't had to face the adversity, even though they are a veteran
You
team?
lose your mojo?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I understand your point, and it is a good point, and I wouldn't normally disagree with it, but I think the Spurs are so veteran, I don't think it would mess with them as much as it would, say, somebody like the Bulls
Okay.
or somebody else. But, it probably gets in your head to a degree. It's got to.
Yeah.
But, did you see Greg Popovich's interview the other night with Craig Sager?
Heard it's very brief.
4 words.
Really?
Are you listening to John Tortorella?
I don't know. There were 2 questions, and Pop answered them each with 2 words.
But what are they?
You should have never
Play better, and something else. I forget what the other one was.
Was
but
it in the middle of the game or after?
It was one of these silly in quarters.
Yeah, I hate those.
quarters things, which we might get to that later on. I'm going to jot down on my note sheet. But I just think the Spurs, and I think the Spurs. I think they still have a window. I think they have more of a window than Boston does when it comes to. I think they could be back next year because invariably the Spurs will make a good move in the offseason.
Yeah.
That is, either a low budget move or, I think a guy they should try to target maybe would be your boy from the Wizards, the Enigma, Mr. McGee, before he got traded to Denver. Because if they can get JaVale McGee, who, from what I understand, is a couple donuts short of a dozen at times, you get him around a guy like Tim Duncan, either he gets it or he'll never get it. So sign him to a 1-year deal, maybe
So
a 2-year
he's the
deal.
protege of Duncan.
That would be my suggestion. Because, and I think if the Spurs could acquire somebody else inside, either him or a Chris Kaman-like, and just find somebody, I don't know if a Ray Allen would be the guy, but somebody that could score the 2 or the 3. I don't see any reason they can't be back next year, but you got to give Greg, if Coach of the Year, I don't know if they've done that yet. I think they did.
They normally don't even consider the playoffs.
Indiana's coach, I think, should have gotten Coach of the Year. If not, Popovich should have gotten it. Because the way he handled the Spurs during the year of resting people and everything, he got that team ready for the playoffs.
He did.
He took so much crap for it for no reason.
Apparently, Pop is not a well-liked individual by some people, but I think Popovich, I think he's probably one of the best coaches that is not a big-name coach. Because, he's not Phil Jackson. He's not Red Auerbach. He's not Pat Riley.
Maybe he's the best coach
But-
that's not a big name.
Probably.
No, they're in the drive-through now, and the window's almost shut. This is Boston's last shot.
Yes. Yes.
Which,
Boston's waiting for the person. They're waiting for Sherry to bring them their food out
Yeah.
because they have to drive past the window and
Yeah.
wait for their food to come out.
Yeah, they pulled the cornet.
But they had Arby's?
Yes.
Do you get rid of Paul Pierce though? I think you have to at least explore it if you can get back value.
Maybe.
I would think you'd lose a lot in PR with your fans
Yeah.
if you got rid of Paul Pierce.
But
I think he's the one guy you need to. Well, Rondo.
I think you need Rondo more. But here's why: because you're a little bit younger than the other 2 of us. But the Celtics held on to Bird, McHale, and Parrish for too long, and they would have had Lynn Bias to help them rebuild, but he didn't make it.
Sad to do that
And
last
Reggie
one.
Lewis also.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of bad luck. But and then not getting the draft picks in the lottery. The Celtics were, set back. I think Lynn Bias probably is what set them back decades.
Yes.
Lewis, was just an unfortunate incident. The draft lottery, their envelopes weren't cold enough.
Yeah. It was really funny. Before Game 3, he was up 2-0, and it was after Rondo's just lights out performance. Never seen him play like that, and don't know if ever will. But it's they're showing Bayless and Stephen A. Smith talking about him, and you just kind of if you're just hearing it, you're just picturing Stephen A. with a shotgun and he's like about to put old Yeller down, but just saying, this is their last thing. They're going to win one more game just so they don't lose it in Boston, so stuff like that, and then now you're hearing the commentators just completely do a 180, saying how bad Miami is and stuff, and which I hate because when Miami gets criticized so much, then they get pissy, and then they start to play better, and I don't need that.
A couple years back, Kenny Smith was on Inside the NBA and said that, I think it was either a couple years or last year, said that in 3 years Kevin Durant would be the best player in the league. And Charles Barkley said, and I quote, "What's he going to do, kill LeBron James?" Do you agree with that? I mean, is LeBron going to lose the stranglehold on best player in the league to Durantula? I don't think Durant.
I haven't heard Durantula.
I think I heard.
I've heard the name they referred to him up there. They're more calling him now KD.
Okay, well, I don't think anybody takes away the title of best player from LeBron. Just because you don't win a ring, LeBron might not be the best player in the playoffs or the best clutch player, but nobody stuffs the old stat sheet like him. King James.
No, I don't think anyone's denying that he's the best player. He's just not on the best team.
So no is your answer, that Kevin Durant does not become the best player in the league over LeBron.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Phil Jackson, would you want him if you were the Orlando Magic or even the Miami Heat, or
as the coach or the GM type?
Either. Well, let's go with coach. Would you? All right. If your favorite team needed a coach, would you want Phil to come in? If your favorite team needed a GM, would you want Phil to come in? Because the hot rumor right now is Phil to Orlando as GM, Brian Shaw as head coach, Scottie Pippen as lead assistant.
Interesting.
For those of you who could not see, Will looked perplexed. As do I.
Who was the middle person?
Brian Shaw would be the head coach.
He was a point guard for LA, wasn't he?
Yes, he's been an assistant as well.
Okay.
He used to play for the Celtics.
Yes.
A lot of people. Wasn't Kobe lobbying for him to get head coach?
Yes. Yeah. Now, I have had several people on this.
They're talking about a coach job that might be open next year. Is that later?
Yes, I have had several people on this very podcast. I can't remember if we discussed this, but several people think that Mr. Brown will not be back in LA. I don't think he should be fired. I think he almost did the best he could type thing. But first off, I don't know what Phil Jackson knows about player personnel evaluations because Phil hates rookies. He never really cared about the draft in LA.
No.
Secondly, if you're going to have the triangle, it takes about 2 years, supposedly, to perfect it into plans. C.
You think Dwight's going to wait that long?
Well, that's C. Who wants to play for that who wants that malcontent on their team?
Yeah, but if anyone can coach players like that,
I don't know if is the triangle more reliant on the big or more reliant on the guard? I don't know off the top of my head, but Kobe and Michael, to me, seem to be more beneficiary of the triangle than Shaq. Not to take anything away from Shaq, but,
But was that because Shaq was doing his role correctly?
I don't know. I'd have to get my good friend Arthur Roland Lazenby back on to talk about the triangle, as he has written several books on Phil.
Virginia Tech
and gang.
Professor of mine.
Yes. Should we ask if he remembers you next time? No. But, would you want Phil?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's...
When has Phil done ever, though, with a non-talented team?
When has he ever had a non-talented team?
When Michael retired. When he's still coaching for a couple years? When Scotty was still around and co-coach? And good old Pete Myers?
Those 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years they decided to give Houston a title.
Felt sorry for Akeem. He was looking so pathetic with his sickle cell anemia and bringing him down. I don't think there's a job in this league that suits Phil Jackson right now in terms of talent, because I do not see Miami. The arena is not big enough to hold the egos of Phil, LeBron, Wade. I don't think Bosh really has an ego. I think Bosh is just, third wheel.
Did you hear about what he said in his press conference?
But I don't think Pat Riley has that either. But no, I did not.
In his press conference, after the post game, he basically said that it wasn't fair, the fact that he didn't get more playing time. I'm like, really? You whiny little so-and-so. You've been out.
Wow. You're becoming clean now.
You've been out for 9 games with an abdominal injury, playing a team that...
It's not Chris Bosh's fault, though, this whole thing.
No, what I'm saying is he's been injured.
Right.
You have the chance to go up 3-2. you have not, you potentially your rhythm, the rhythm might be out with the team. You're playing a very physical game, a series itself. Your job is not to say, it's not fair.
I think Miami has to feel good, though, about still winning the series.
Why?
Just because I think they feel like they can probably, if Bosch can play more in Game 6, the younger legs, I think they, from their mindset, they need to feel good. They can't feel like Boston's got this series wrapped up. Or
now it's Game 5, the pressure was all on Miami. Game 6, the pressure's all on Boston.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of, what do they do?
Will they come through?
Would you rather have Dwight Howard on your team or Andrew Bynum?
Howard. He's proven with the numbers.
I'd love to see option C, though.
Well, you didn't offer that option.
I know. I just said I would love to see it because
this is not fair.
I think Howard and Bynum are both, rotten attitudes, and I'm more of an attitude guy. I want the good attitude.
Well, who among them has the better attitude?
Well, I don't know. Do you believe Dwight Howard got Stan Van Gundy fired?
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah.
Andrew Bynum hasn't got anybody run out of town yet.
He doesn't have enough influence.
Andrew Bynum's just a whiny little baby who, J.J. Barea's side is still hurting.
Yeah.
And not from laughing. But, I think when Bynum wants to play, Bynum is right up there at the top. But, I think Bynum's got to realize still the Kobe show.
Yeah.
It's, always, and LA's had a history of good big men. Kareem, Wilt, Shaq. But they've always had that good guard. They've always had that good guard. When Wilt played, West was there. When Kareem played, Magic was there. When Shaq played,
Owen Campbell.
Obviously Kobe was there. This podcast has just turned into a mockery now. Next, what are we going to mention? Sam Perkins, Sam I Am, and James Worthy. The Lakers.
I was just remembering my video game days.
Yeah.
Eldon Campbell,
Tecmo basketball.
NBA Jam.
Not Tecmo basketball?
No, that predates me a little bit.
Did they ever Tecmo basketball?
Yes.
Remember Tecmo football because it was awesome. But...
Super Tecmo NBA.
Okay.
As well as Super Tecmo Bowl. But anyway, I digress.
It's funny in post-game conferences or post-game interviews, and they're asking star players like questions they've heard thousands of times.
But that's what you have to do.
I know that's what you have to do, but it was after.
Good thing Kurt Busch went in there.
Oh God! No, that was another topic I meant to present right now.
What, Kurt Busch or
the whole incident.
evil people against the media?
The whole general incident. But it was after a playoff game that Kobe and them were playing, and Kobe did something, did good, and so then they.
Kobe did good. Imagine that.
But they asked this like generic question of like what'd you feel like, blah blah blah, and Kobe's like, got 5 rings. It just get just that pimp answer. I'm like, this ain't my first rodeo. Right. What do you expect me to say? I'm not giving you this great Pulitzer Prize winning quote.
But again,
which I love. Just the fact is, like, I'm starting to enjoy some swagger in these people. At times. At first, I was like, douchebag, and then it's like, oh,
because if you don't like it in Chris Bosh.